last, I think, 8 years of ownership under SK, Ascend has doubled its revenue and grown its EBITDA by 8x or something like that. So what that tells me is that a lot of your new products are much higher margin, plus probably some cost optimization and all of that stuff. So clearly, the focus on trying to develop materials that have a much higher, I guess, margin or revenue profile is working. Can you talk a little bit about like what are some new products that you have developed? Sure. And what has it taken to kind of develop and commercialize them?
Sure. So again, SK has owned us for 14 years. First phase was just getting the company off the ground and kind of stable. The second step was the differentiation and the specialization, and I'm glad we did it that way because you need different mindset for each one of them. So in terms of innovation, so the reality is if you want higher margins, you want to get to specialty, you got to do both things. So number one, you're going to have to work customer back, the market back, application back, understanding what you need rather than trying to stuff what you got in an application. And for that, polyamides are wonderful molecules. Okay, it's one of those things where you can synthesize. There's so many different varieties of molecules because everybody looks as PA66 as HMD and adipic acid. The reality is, if you look at our portfolio of polymers and co-polymers we have today, we possibly got one of the largest, if not the largest, portfolio of co-polymers, all the way from long chains to high temperature materials to amorphous nylons. It's the entire array. It's very, very reactive and easy. I mean, once you know what you're doing, it's easy to do polymer bending, and that's what actually gets us to launch these new molecules, and that's where the core competency and capability comes along. So for instance, a few good examples of that, right? So if you look at it, electrification, for instance, a big part of what we do is around electrification. One of the things that has happened in the auto industry is about 10 years ago, auto was all about nylon 6,6 primarily as the material, and it used to be black and natural. That's about the colors you ever found in automotive. Today, orange is the new black, right? Literally, right? So colors become important, right? The other thing is flame retardancy becomes really important because who would have thought you're going to find BEVs and PHEVs, which are now more like unattended appliances like toasters and dishwashers at home, where you're plugging it in, and the biggest problem that comes along is safety. How do you make sure that you got the right wattage and the right voltage to power this in so that you can charge it at the right time? And you also got to make sure that you're not, you're minimizing any chance of shorting, because once those things get out of hand, they do have a big problem. So for us, a big part of our innovation has been around safety systems, electrical safety systems, which are flame retardant materials. And we got a whole portfolio of products called StarFlam, and we've got certain products called X-Protect, which is not only flame retardant, it can also be classified as flame or fire-proof material, which can actually withstand very, very high temperatures for extremely long times. So it gives the occupants time to get out safely. So those are types of applications we get into, right? So completely differentiated applications. Similarly, if you look at a completely different market. So if you look at packaging, food packaging, the big part of food packaging and meat packaging is around shelf life. Okay, so if you just think about it, there's a significant portion of the material that actually gets into the food and the value chain, gets into stores, doesn't make its way out because it gets spoiled and you throw things out. So we've actually been working with folks, and these are with special amorphous nylons, which enables the ability for improved oxygen barrier, much faster processing, such that these materials, so that think about meat packaging, immediately after it's packaged out and it goes to the supermarket, the meat's actually blue in color. it's not oxygenated. And they keep it like this, and it can remain there for a couple of weeks. And once they're ready for opening it up, they cut that thing open and they let it sit for the oxygen to come in, and the meat turns from blue to red. Okay, and so those are the types of innovations that we're working on, where it actually makes a real impact. Okay.
So in those cases, are you then competing with relatively lower margin, lower price products, or?
So no, actually, it kind of what you're doing is you're doing material substitutions. You're actually helping out with the overall system cost reduction for customers. Because yes, they may be replacing polyethylene with something else, but you're kind of getting to a much higher level of performance, which is what customers want. Okay. Because that's the way we work it.